All right, you guys seem to be enjoying these. I love teaching, and so I thought I'd just keep going with some of these preseason things and challenging some of the different things, seeing on the field and why they're doing those things. First, Dylan Gabriel, I thought he played a really, really good game. Processed information really well, got the ball out, was accurate, managed things extremely well in this game. We'll talk about the interception at some point here, but just wanted to kind of dive in. Okay, so if you follow me, what you're going to know is that when it comes to empty protections, I am a guy that always likes to slide my empty protection away from my three receivers. Okay, when I've got three receivers, it usually is going to give me the opportunity to have a couple quick throws to the three receiver side. When you go back to the two receiver side, very seldom do you get both guys being able to run a quick route. Sometimes you do, and so it works better when you've got two guys running quick routes. But the reason that's important is because when somebody brings pressure from wherever, they got to drop somebody down to cover those zones that they bring pressure from. And so the more options you have to attack whatever that zone is that they're voiding, the better off you're going to be. Okay, when you go to the backside and they bring pressure, and so let me erase that. If they bring pressure backside and you've slid this to the front side, it only takes one, but if you've only got one guy running a quick route, all it takes is one defender to drop down and cover that one guy. Okay, so I want to go where the numbers are. All right, so here are the Browns, and what a lot of teams do is they say, hey, we're going to basically tell the quarterback where his first read is. So if your first read is over here, we're going to slide away from this. And so your hot guy is to the side of your first throw. I don't like that. At the NFL level, you got to be able to go, okay, my first throw can still be to the right, but we're going to slide and protect to the right. So my hot is going to actually be back here to the left side, and you've got to be able to manage that because, again, it's all about what's easiest for the defense, what gives the advantage to them, what gives the advantage to us, okay? So we're going to watch this one, and so here's what we got. We basically have 4 down right here, all right? So offensive line, always going to go big on big first is where it's going to start. So they're going to go to those 4, and now it goes, okay, where are we going to slide? Are we going to slide the offensive line to this linebacker, or are we going to slide the offensive line to this linebacker? So what Cleveland does is they're going to slide the offensive line to this side. So now if this guy comes, we're hot to that side. And so remember again that this guard is covered and this tackle is going out there to the defensive end. Okay? And so it's really tough for an offensive tackle in this type of situation because this guy's in here tight to be able to see this, and because what's going to happen is this defensive end is going to drop off, to see this and then get both of these guys to squeeze back to the inside. So let me run it one time, and here comes the hot, and they're trying to do it right? That you see the guard trying to pull off here and take this away, and the tackle does a nice job of setting tight here because they know if this guy drops, this guy's got to loop and hold his responsibility outside. So they're trying to do this right, about as best they could, but it's still hard because this guard, his first responsibility is, I got to take the guy over the top of me, assuming that the tackle has to take this guy. So I've got to step with that, and he steps with it, and then boom, he's lost an edge. And the quarterback is in trouble here. For me, again, it's taking one guy to cover the one quick throw they have to that side. For me, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to just make this simple, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to slide my offensive line to the backside, and I'm going to take these guys, and then I'll be hot off of either one of those guys to that side. And I can be hot off of that because you see I have 1, 2 quick throws. Okay, so I can either come out here and take the hitch, or I can take this quick throw right in to that hole. So either one of these guys, this guy comes from out here, this guy starts to drop down, boom, I can take my quick throw there. This guy comes from here, Now I can replace that. This guy's coming down or however they're doing, I can replace it with the inside throw, and I've got options to attack the weakness of their defense. Here, they slide it the wrong way, even though there's a possibility of getting this picked up. We're just making it hard on ourselves. So Dylan is looking at his first throw back to that side because it's hot. Defensive end matches right to it, covers it. Now we're in trouble where we have two options over here. Plus, the other thing that I like is these guys, or especially this guy here, it's a lot further to come to create the hot in that situation. So it gives me a little bit more time to be able to make that kind of throw. So anyways, I don't like the protection portion of it. It's always a challenge. How are you going to do it? How are you going to run your protection, especially in empty sets? And for me, I want to take care of the backside. I want to take care of the limited option side that I have, and I want to have the quarterback set up to the multiple option side in terms of throwing a hot. And I see this every week in the NFL, and I see it hurt teams every week in the NFL because, again, another option is they can bring all of these guys. So we're hot again, and all it takes is this safety. And again, he's deep here. But if he comes down tight right away, same thing happens. Same thing happens here. So we're still hot, and they bring all of those guys, but the one guy that drops down can cover the one guy that's running a quick route. Can't happen on the other side. And again, they've got to drop down somewhere, and I've got options to be able to take advantage of whichever void I need to take advantage of. And again, this is just one example of the quick throws you could have to the front side. There's lots of different ways that you can have quick throws to this left-hand side, but more times than not, you're going to have two guys doing it, which makes it harder for the defense to cover multiple guys that have quick throws. Okay, so again, we get on the edge, trying to solve all the problems. It's another thing that I don't like is that, yeah, we can come back and say, well, you guys should pick this up because they dropped the defensive end, but we got to understand how hard it is for the offensive line to do this. It's not easy to pass these things off, especially when you got big, fast guys that are rushing and you know that's your first responsibility. These things are tough. So that's the other part. Let's make it as easy as possible on everybody out there, the powers that be, to be able to help us to be successful and not have these kind of breakdowns and negative plays. Okay? Really like this here. This is a play that I call fish. Okay, so what it is it's a hook and a flat. Okay, so that's why it's called fish. The F is for the flat. Fish, we always use a hook to fish. So it's a hook and a flat is how I use this. And so what I like about this play design is that this receiver right here doesn't go inside. Okay, I see so many teams that do this. And I can understand if this guy is in a normal alignment, 2 yards outside the numbers, okay, we've got a spot we want him to be. We want him to be on the inside edge of the numbers. So when he's wide, go ahead and come, inside to whatever your landmark is. If you're in a tight alignment, now that landmark stays the same because the spacing is the same, but now go straight up the field. Too many teams, they'll do this and they'll run this guy inside here and then run this guy to the flat. And what it does is it brings two guys into the mix. Okay, so let me run this. So the idea here is we want to isolate the outside linebacker. You can only cover one of the two. You're going to cover the hook. You're going to cover the flat. You can only cover one of the two. Boom, there it is. He covers the flat. Bang, we're right back behind it with the hook. And what we're trying to do is keep this guy out of the mix. So the more I go inside, the easier I make it on the defense for the outside linebacker to cover the flat and the inside linebacker to match and possibly cover the hook. And so what I love is that we're going to keep our width here. And there's times that I even like to have this guy, and maybe a little tighter alignment, but to even push outside a little bit. And what the pushing the outside does is it engages the corner. Okay, so the next step of this is sometimes if they're in a look where that X is really tight, that receiver is really tight, this corner sits outside. And so when this guy pushes straight vertical, this corner at times can say, okay, he's inside of me, he's not attacking me, and I can fall off and at times cover this flat. So even the next step for me is maybe putting this X receiver in a little bit tighter, okay, because we still want the same landmarks. But then as I release at a little bit of an angle outside. What does that do? When I release at an angle outside, now I'm attacking the responsibility of this corner. His responsibility is outside. And so if I'm starting inside and angling outside, now I'm engaged as a corner going, okay, he's coming to my area. He's coming to me, and I can't free myself up to come off and take the flat. So a little bit of an expansion there, if he's a yard tighter, that little bit of an expansion helps to hold the corner off because he's worried now about his responsibility. Going straight up the field, I'm not as worried about my responsibility because he's not attacking it. He's attacking inside more than he's attacking outside. So little things make a huge difference. But I like this play where he goes straight vertical and holds way better than if he goes inside here to hook. And what a lot of coaches, I believe, think is, oh, well, we don't want to leave him in the same spot because what they're thinking is, well, this guy here can hold that off a little bit longer because we're not getting inside of him. But the point being is that as long as your spacing is good and this defender has to cover all the way to the sideline, he's eventually going to have to overrun the hook, or if he's holding the hook off, we're going to have the flat. But the key isn't the guy that I have circled. The key is the guy in the square right here. We don't want a second defender, or it could be the corner as I was talking about before. We don't want any of these second defenders to be able to cover this concept. We want to isolate the circled defender as much as we possibly can. So we're going to keep width here to keep away from the inside box, okay? Or we're going to expand a little bit to hold off the outside box with the whole goal of going, okay, how much ground can this guy cover? What is the spacing we need to make sure that he can't cover both of these routes? And so because we're setting our landmark as the top of the numbers or the inside edge of the numbers, we say he can't cover from the inside edge of the numbers all the way to the sideline. He can't do that and cover both of these receivers. Perfect. So now if X is outside, where are we going? We're going to the same spot, inside edge of the numbers. If X is inside tighter, where are we going? We're going to expand and we're going to go to the inside edge of the numbers. The spacing is the same. We're going to force the circle defender to cover as much ground as possible and keep those extra defenders away from it. I like it right here. Boom. Right there. You see it. We got all kinds of space. All it takes is that linebacker to get, look, he's only, 2 yards away in terms of width. He's from inside edge of the numbers to outside edge of the numbers. But once he gets to the outside edge of the numbers, what? Can't cover this. That's the whole key. That is the whole goal, is to put that guy in a bind so he cannot cover both of those routes. What's the best and the most spacing we can have in those kind of situations so that we force him to be in a position where he cannot cover both routes? This one works out well here. I just wanted to show how they do it, how they don't go inside, how it might even be an advantage to tuck him a little bit tighter and then go outside so we can hold off not only the corner, hold him off from being able to take the flat, but also get the same width we want from that inside linebacker. Boom. Nice, easy, open completion. Okay, here's the interception. All right, everybody wants to say, terrible interception, terrible throw, all of this stuff. All right, let's talk through how this works. Okay, so we're running a naked bootleg. Naked bootlegs, this is what you're going to get on naked bootlegs. You're going to have a corner route. If they're in a tight alignment like that, you can have somebody going to the flat, and then you're going to have somebody running an over route. Okay, so that's what you're going to have. Okay, so that's how this starts to play out here. But Details are so important. That's what these videos have been about. Details. Why are we doing it? And why is it important? Okay, this guy that's running the cross here, I don't know how Cleveland teaches it, but again, this is a pretty universal concept in football. And in those universal concepts, this guy here running the cross is running what we call a naked cross. So he's getting over, and what we usually like is we like him to be about, let me draw that very well. We like him to be about 12 yards on the backside hash. NFL hashes are a little bit tighter, so maybe 12 yards, a few yards outside the hash on the backside. But we want him to get to 12 yards. Okay, why is it important? What we're trying to do here is, okay, we're trying to clear out this backside here because we might get the corner, but what we're really trying to get on a naked is a flat. But what we're trying to get is we're trying to get spacing between these two guys in terms of width. It's not really depth because these guys should never be on top of each other. Okay, so what I mean by that is you should never have a situation where these guys are on top of each other, where the cross is over the top of the flat. Now, a couple things happen here that create that. First, the flat gets banged by the defensive end, so he's way further inside than he should be. The second thing is this receiver here is way too short on his route. So now we're getting these guys stacked. What we really want is we want this flat, of course, out there by the numbers, and then we want this guy in here 2 or 3 yards outside the hash. And so you see the width difference here. So I never have to throw it over a defender, right? The defender that's covered in the flat, I should never have to throw it over him on a naked to hit the cross. But those two things happen and it messes this up. Okay, so let's go back, and where's the line of scrimmage? Okay, the line of scrimmage is basically the 31-yard line right here. Okay, so 31-yard line, and receiver comes across, and the receiver is where? He's at the 24-yard line. Okay, so he's 6 yards deep. 6 yards deep instead of 12 yards deep. Okay, instead of 12 yards deep. And so that's a huge difference in terms of allowing this guy to get into the mix. If my guy is running a 12-yard cross, okay, come back, keep your eyes on this safety. If this guy's pushing up and running a 12-yard cross, is there any chance that safety is what? At 5 yards, 6 yards, when he makes this interception here. Okay? So I guess receiver's at 7 yards, but the interception is made about 5 to 6 yards from the line of scrimmage. No way that safety is even in the mix if this guy does his job right, and he's going to take the safety with depth. And worst case scenario, Dylan throws this. It's an incomplete pass because the tight end can't get there. But A, he brings the safety to the party. B, because he's so flat, the tight end, as he's coming out of this, sees the other receiver back behind him. So I believe when this throw is made, he pulls his arms back because he thinks the route or the throw is going to the other guy. I don't know who the throw was going to, but he thinks it was thrown to the other guy, so he pulls his hands back. All that to allow a safety to split the difference and get a pick six. All that for us to say, oh, Dylan Gabriel played great except this one terrible throw that he threw the pick six. Yes, okay, it was cloudy, but I think we all as quarterbacks have to see, oh, I see what he sees here. This defender has fallen inside. My tight end's going to get outside of him. He might not even see this back behind it because he's just looking at the tight end trying to negotiate that defensive end. He's throwing it there. Now all of a sudden the receiver mucks everything up, and then he mucks it up for the tight end, and now it becomes a pick six. It looks like an awful play by Gabriel when, to me, this was all about the receivers and the details of the route. All right, we talked a little bit about this type of concept with the Titans if you watch that video. But we're going to run a double post combination here with the deep over. So it was the same concept that the Titans ran. And what's really important is this inside post. It's what I call an influence post. Okay, so the idea with that route, in my opinion, should be to influence the nearest safety. Because if you remember, if you watched the video, if you didn't, we're trying to get this deep post on the outside first. So if we can grab the inside safety, we're going to read that deep post first, and then we'll work to the over flat combination off of that. But the first thing we're looking at with double post, or even if we just called a double post concept with no over, the idea is grab the safety, influence the nearest safety, and see if I can get the outside post over the top. Okay, so I like the initial portion of this. It's like we talked about with the Titans. Go inside, okay? Go inside to try to get leverage on this safety and try to get him to turn inside. We're trying to get inside of him so we can turn his eyes and his hips to the inside. I like it. So inside release, everything starts off really, really good here. Okay, there he is. We're in a great spot right here. We're in a great spot right here in terms of the influence. Yeah, this guy's gotten depth, but run through his inside number. Okay, so you set this. Now run through his inside number. We always say too, when you've got a too high shell, so when we've got a safety high on your side of the field, never cross the middle of the field on an influence post. Never cross it. Why? Because there's usually a guy sitting on the backside that if you've got too high safety, a too high safety to your side, you run through his inside number and you never cross the middle of the field. Okay, so everything starts good here and then we lose it right there. Okay, so right there. Now he's going and he takes off this direction. What does that little change do? Okay, so instead of doing this and running through the inside number of that safety, by releasing that safety and setting your angle to the backside, what does it do? It frees up this safety right here. Two things, okay? So it frees him up to drop and get depth to possibly help and take away the outside post. But the other thing that it does is it frees him up to drop down and cover the over. I'll pass the influence off to the backside safety. I'll let my corner take the front side post, and I'm going to come down and jump the over. And you see it. There it is. Dylan's got nowhere to throw it. Boom. He throws a good throw. It's an interception right here. Details. Love everything about this. Now stay through him. This is a front side read, right? Don't bring any, I don't care about what's going on the backside. Understand this is a front side read. We are trying to clear out everything on the front side to be able to throw this over. So little details of the influence, okay? Influence your safety. A lot of coaches, when they coach this, they just tell this influence guy, and don't really call it an influence. They're like, you're going to push up to 12 yards, and then we want you to go to the backside seam or the backside hash. Okay, so they tell them, this is where you have to go. It's one of the reasons I don't like that portion. I like to call it an influence because your job is to influence the nearest safety. I don't care where he is. If it's a middle safety, no problem. Push up and attack the inside number of that safety. Yes, that will take you to the backside hash. That will take you to the backside seam area, but only because the safety is in the middle of the field and you're running through his inside number. If he's on the front side, then stay on the front side and run through his inside number. So then if he wants to come off and not cover it, now we can have a touchdown throw to you down the middle of the field because we're not running into this backside guy. So influence your guy, influence your safety, and this kind of stuff doesn't happen. If you don't, little details, right? We're going to cross over to the backside. So now I'm going to pass you off to the backside. The Eagles play this perfectly. They pass it off to the backside. He's eyeing this to see what's going here, and then he's able to free up and jump that over right there and make this a tough play. Little details make such a huge difference for everybody, including the quarterback. Okay, so here we're coming back with, it looks like same kind of idea that we're going to run a go here, and then we're going to bring the over here. Okay, so trying to clear that out, similar to the double post concept. We're only doing it with a single receiver over to this side, and he's going to run a go route. Okay, I'm a bigger fan of running a post route over here because if I'm running the over, I'm always worried about this safety being able to jump it. So if we run a go route on the outside and the corner takes that away, this guy doesn't really have any responsibility, so we run an over. He's got the ability to jump that. So if we put a post there, we can come back and read the circled safety, and if he jumps the over, now we get a shot down the field with the post. Guys do it both ways, different ways, and I understand the benefits of either. I just think the benefits are greater having a post on everything so we can try to hold that circled guy or that circled area, because the goal on this play is to get the over here. Okay, so but that's neither here nor there necessarily on this particular play. We've got to go. Okay, so first thing is don't go inside, always go outside. Okay, this is another must outside release type play. Get that corner to get width and to turn his back so he can't ever see anything coming over here, right? This isn't a too high shell right here, but if the safety was back here and this corner had help back there, he goes inside, he makes it easy on the safety to cover him on the go, and he turns the eyes of the corner, who doesn't have deep responsibility, back to the inside to possibly see that over coming there. And so we really want to outside release that. Sometimes receivers have to understand we're not trying to get everybody open. We're not trying to get you open on every play, so to speak. So it's not always easiest release, do whatever you have to do to get yourself open. It's understanding, hey, what we're trying to do on this play is throw the over. Doesn't mean you won't get the football. Doesn't mean if you win based on the responsibilities you have, if you win, you can't get the football. But it's understanding that you're not the primary guy that has to get the football. So it's not just win at all costs. Don't worry about anything else that's going on and just win on your route. That's not how it works. We got to win this concept with the details that we need. And in this case, it's outside release if you have a go route. Pull the safety, right? Pull the safety with width if that's his responsibility. Get this guy with width and turning his shoulders and his eyes to the sideline the best you can to open up that window for the over. That's the real goal, okay? So we come back here off the play action, and I don't know if this is scheme-based or if this is a mess up by the running back here. But if it's scheme-based, this is where you put your quarterback in situations that are really hard. And so the reason I say it might be scheme-based is because you're going to see the tight end chip, and then he releases to the flat. And then you're going to see the back come through who's checking his guy, and then he's going to release in that direction too. And so this is what we used to call Ricky, meaning both the checkdowns are going to go to the right. They're going to move to the right. And we're going to have an in route here on the backside. So I can understand where you might want to do the Ricky here so you get a high-low off of whoever that defender is if you're reading the in to the check down here. But what makes this really hard is that if our progression is starting here and we're looking to get this over, we really always want somebody going to the flat on that side. We want somebody going to the flat because ultimately this is going to be a flat read, a high-low read from the over to a flat when you run this. Otherwise, if you don't have that, like they don't here, so they don't have the back coming to they don't have anybody coming to the flat on this one. So now what it becomes is we're running an over route. We're not threatening this area at all with anything. And so what can this guy do? This guy Smart players are going to fall back and see what's coming because everybody else goes the other direction. Okay, what's coming from that direction to me? So let's watch this. Safety drops down. What's he do? He turns and runs to cover the over. Okay, he's running back and going, oh, this guy's there. There's nobody else there. The back's going the other direction. I'm just going to go cover him. Whereas if we come down and this back comes out and then this back goes to the flat, I don't know what this safety's going to do. I mean, he might do the same thing in turn, but at least we've got a guy attacking that area. Or if the back does come out to this side, boom, maybe he comes down and we get our true high-low over here with the over. Instead, we go the other direction and it leads to a negative play. And it's just like, okay, why are we running an over with nothing underneath it? Why are we not attacking this zone over here so we can try to get the defenders to pull down and get the overthrow for the quarterback? Right now, we're just saying, okay, drop back and just see if you can fit the over in against all these bodies because we're not really giving you a read on this particular play. So how would you change it, Kurt? Because I always got to have a why. How would you change it? Okay, I'm going to take my back down here. I'm going to have him check his linebacker to the backside. Then he's going here. So now I've got my go, my over, and my flat to that side. Okay, but you've got the in on the other side, and you want somebody underneath the in. Okay, great. I'm going to now chip my tight end, and then I'm going to let my tight end run a hook route to that side so I can get my high-low to this side. I can get my high-low to this side, and I give my quarterback a chance to read a zone on both sides and give him a chance to come back and have a decision to make, and in most cases have a good throw to make off of the right read, whether it's the hook defender up top, whether it's a flat defender down here. But when we don't do that, again, we're putting a quarterback in a tough spot because if this is where we're telling him to look first, we're not doing everything we can possibly do to get that guy open forward for you, which, right, isn't that the goal of football? Hey, here's my first read. Here's your primary read on a play. I want to do everything I can to get that guy open for my quarterback so he can come back and throw it to his primary guy, throw it to his first guy. That's how I'm designing plays. And so, again, little things that we can sit back here and look and say, he's holding the football a long time. Okay, now he's got to check it down and it's an incomplete. Like, we can say all that stuff, but until we understand why, yeah, he's holding it because he's trying to throw the over, which appears to be the primary read on this play. He's looking to get the over, but we're doing nothing to help him get that over. We're forcing him to have to, okay, wait and see. Maybe this guy runs past that free safety. Like, it's a lot of stuff to see right there instead of just coming out and going, okay, what does this guy do? Does he drop back? Does he come down and just throw it off of him to play the game faster and allow our quarterback to play faster? So just a handful of things, again, that you always want to challenge. I look and I watch and I say, okay, why? Tell me why we're doing this. Tell me what the meaning is. Where does this help us? How does this help us? And most importantly, how does it help my quarterback? The goal has to always be simplify the game, speed the game up, make the reads and the decisions as quick as possible and as simple as possible for my quarterback. So it all starts with who's my primary guy. Once I know who the primary guy is, everything I should do should be designed to get that primary guy open. And if the responsibility of one of those guys takes that primary away, I should have somebody complementing that to give me a chance to succeed or give my quarterback a chance to succeed off of it.